Welcome to the 12th African Archery Championships here in South Africa's capital, Pretoria. We're at the University of Pretoria Sports Stadium, otherwise known as the Tux Stadium. I'm Karen Bashir, and joining me is World Archery's Chris Wells. We've got a recurve session ahead of us here at these championships, Chris.
Yeah, looking forward to some excellent matches this afternoon. We saw some real thrillers this morning, especially in the compound men's and barebow categories. Full afternoon. We've got two team finals, mixed team final, and the bronze and gold medal matches in the individual events coming up this afternoon.
Well, let's go straight down to the field of play for the team introductions for the recurve women's bronze.
And on target number 2, representing Kenya, Cote D'Ivoire, Tiram Elma and Agnes Kirigo Kinyua.
Sur la cible numéro 1, Esme Diombo, Patoubane et Ekpopi Anne-Marie Eleonore Dieudane représentant le Côte d'Ivoire.
And our judge for this afternoon is Amira Mansour.
Et le juge pour ce match est Amira Mansour.
So there we have it, Ivory Coast lining up with Esme Diombo, Fatou Gabane and Anne-Marie Yadani. Kenya with Kuki Anwar, Diram Elema and Agnes Kinyua. Chris, in these early stages, tell us what we're about to see.
Set system for recurve archery. Sets of 6 arrows. Highest score in the set wins 2 set points. Draw is 1 set point. First team to 5 set points wins the match. Looks like on the right side, at least on Kenya's side, it's going to be Kuki Anwar leading off. She could be an X factor in this one, shooting for individual gold here as well.
Three. Five. Five.
So 15 out of a maximum 30 through the first rotation.
There's Anwar, defending individual champion at these African Championships, held the title for 6 years.
Eight. Four.
So we now go back through the rotation for the Ivory Coast.
8-9 liner.
It's great to see these two teams in the final. Neither was on the podium 6 years ago in Namibia. What a change over the last half decade in the continent.
9. Seven.
So making some big adjustments there. 39 set by the Ivory Coast.
6. 7. Three.
Well, that's gone off wide and to the right. So a big spread of arrows there, looking for consistency in the groupings. That's certainly not what we saw from the Kenyan team. Chris, perhaps a bit of a shaky start from Kenya. The nerves of being on TV in an African finals for the first time, perhaps?
100%. This is the first time both of these teams will be shooting in this kind of arena. The first time both of these teams will be shooting in front of any kind of cameras at all. Like I said, neither of these teams were on the podium 6 years ago in Windhoek, so there's been change, there's been progress, but they'll need to get used to it. And we can hear in the background as well, there is more wind than there was this morning, so not an easy place to be, not an easy ask.
Having a good look at the Kenyan target here to check the scores. Chris, you said Anwar is African champion reigning for 6 years. That's a little unusual, isn't it?
Yeah, instead of having an African Championships in 1819, they combined it with the African Games, and that's where all the Olympic qualification for the continent in Tokyo was done. And then, of course, we had the pandemic in 2021, and many events were cancelled. So this is, in 2022, the first African Championships we've had since 2016. And actually, as far as I know, there won't be another 6-year wait, because there'll be another African Championships next year when Olympic qualification for Paris does start. So should Anwar manage to win again this afternoon, she'll hold it for 7 years in a block of 6 and a block of 1. Interesting.
Well, scores finally confirmed, and as you can see, it will be the Kenyans who will shoot first in the second set, trailing as they do by 2 set points to 0. Anwar up to the line, and I think it's quite clear that that wind has picked up. Flags around the range all blowing away. Important start for Kenya here.
7. Seven. Five.
So 19 for the Kenyan trio through that first rotation.
And clearly disappointed after that last shot.
9.
It's difficult in the team event to get into a rhythm because you're only shooting 1 arrow at a time. So you've really got to rely on your teammates to communicate. It's also very different from the elimination phases where you don't have to do 2 rotations. So yeah, really new experience for both these teams.
9-10.
So at least 18 for Gabani, and then Diombo. Udani just takes a little bit more time to get set up.
8.
Provisional 26 could get marked up to a 27.
8. 3.
Well, big opportunity here. Fatou Gabani. The Ivory Coast could effectively do this in 2 arrows now.
5.
So Diombo, 5 or more, and they'll get a free arrow in this set.
10.
Oh, first 10 of the match. So pressure very much off Anne-Marie Udani here.
Eight.
And a clear win in that set to go 4-0 up. Is this a bit of a surprise, Chris, or were you expecting the Ivory Coast to rank first for this to make it look as easy as they are at the moment, of course?
The Ivory Coast has been one of the stronger teams in Africa for a long, long time. Historically, I would say perhaps the men have been a little bit stronger than the women, but really clear that there's been a lot of growth in the Ivory Coast of late. It's really now down to the coaches. I mean, in a team, you don't have that time to readjust. You don't have that time to settle yourself, and it's really down now to the coaches to settle that team and give them the tools to come back and settle themselves into the match. Of course, behind the Kenyan team is Tabitha Manwa, who's been helping out in Kenya for a long time, the mother of Cookie. Again, one of her first experiences coaching at this level and this kind of arena. So it's really challenging to say how they react, but they've got an opportunity in the set system, even 4-0 down, to bring this back. It's just going to have to be really quick, really confident, a lot more communication, I think, between the team members, because you can see how well that communication is working on the Cote d'Ivoire side.
Well, it's pressure taken off by their performance so far for the Ivory Coast. All I have to do now is match the Kenyans
After the second
to
10,
take this African title.
is leading by 4 points to 0. Thank you.
So set number 3, Kenya trailing by 4 points to 0. They can, of course, change their order, but we suspect it will be Kuki Anwar stepping up to the line as Fatou Gabani shows that there is really no pressure on Ivory Coast at the moment.
Almost all of Cookie's arrows have landed in that low right 7 area, and that's what I'm talking about this adjusting in a team. You don't have that rhythm or that single target face where you can see your group, and to perform well as a team, you really need to be able to interpret over the distance, over the time, and between team members, and Kenya just haven't done that in this match.
Yeah, a 2 there from Agnes Kinua. Elamar up into the 5s, and there's just, as you say, Chris, no real consistency at the moment. Couple of good arrows here, and Ivory Coast will be in an incredibly strong position.
9.
Oh, That levels things up, and they've got 1 arrow to go through this first rotation. Oh, perfect. And while staying
Another
focused.
arrow from Cookie Anwar, low right. I'll watch that for later in an individual final.
Seven.
Well, scored a 3. Dirham and Emma with the last hour of the last set.
7.
Better here, setting a target of 36. So a lot of breathing space here for Gabane, Diombo and Yedani. Eight and more, or more, and this is done with an arrow to spare.
9.
It's into the 9, and that means the result is secure. 1 more arrow to go. Let's have a bit of fun with this one. Puts it over into the 5, but it's more than enough for the Ivory Coast to take the match 6 set points to 0, and with it claim the recurve women's team African Championship title in 2022.